Hi, I'm John McDowell, and my research poster is on methods of reducing ecological footprints. My objective was to understand and impart how one's choices affect one's environment and impact climate change for the purpose of instilling responsible environmental behavior in my students. So my research focused on the following question. What are the best ways to motivate students in the San Antonio area to reduce their ecological footprints by practicing lifelong responsible environmental behavior? Although many indigenous cultures lived in harmony with the land, recognizing their responsibility to care for the land for future generations, the discussion of such concerns in modern society only started to gain momentum in recent times. Beginning in the 1990s, technological advances allowed researchers access to satellites to study the environment, and the implementation of the World Wide Web greatly enhanced researchers' ability to gather and share information and data across the globe. These advances changed many people's understanding of the world. People began to understand in greater numbers that we are one planet, one people, with many lands, languages, and cultures. The drilling of ice cores formed over a period of 650,000 years, and the subsequent testing of air samples from these cores proved that since the 1950s, the Earth has been experiencing an extraordinary rise in greenhouse gases, and that we are already at levels greatly in excess of those in the geologic record. The greenhouse gas CO2 has been determined to be the most significant cause of climate change. A review of the literature on how responsible environmental behavior is being implemented internationally shows education in critical thinking and systems thinking are essential to facilitate change towards sustainable development. Place-based learning makes concept of responsible environmental behavior relevant to students by demonstrating how their actions affect their communities. There is strong evidence of both global concern and action via the United Nations to address the issues of sustainable development, including poverty, environment, gender, housing, and human rights. My research showed that the most effective way to facilitate learning of responsible environmental behavior is through the teaching of ecological footprint methodology. This is a method which is utilized to evaluate one's carbon footprint by calculating how much resources a person or a place consumes in comparison to how much of the natural environment is required to support that level of consumption. This analysis is vital because human demand already exceeds the resources that the planet can produce by an estimated 20%. Education is key for achieving environmental sustainability. It is most effective when following ecological footprint analysis. Students can then be engaged by letting them take ownership of environmentally friendly programs in their schools and sharing their newly gained understanding. Environmental education is most effective when started in early childhood settings, and information and concepts are expanded upon as the student progresses in their educational years. I sought out resources available to educators in the local area to facilitate instilling such understanding. The Cibolo Nature Preserve has 4 ecosystems and teaches early childhood, school age, and adult learner classes. The San Antonio Botanical Garden has a terrarium ecosystem with teak-based classes for grades 1 through 5 as well as adult education. The Whitty Museum has exhibits ranging from prehistoric creatures that once roamed South Texas to the indigenous first people who lived here and to current plants and animals in our South Texas ecosystem. The Will Smith School at the San Antonio Zoo is nationally renowned for its LEED Platinum certified facilities in early childhood environmental learning. The UTSA Institute of Texan Cultures exhibits displaying the different cultures which settled Texas and how they lived. Seeing and understanding the history of the area and how one's people have interacted with it since the early days is a form of place for educators in the San Antonio area to facilitate learning environments to encourage student engagement in responsible environmental behavior. Understanding the history of the region and how people have interacted with it instills a sense of belonging to our environment. Awareness of how others share their concern for the environment, along with local government efforts in conservation, instills the feeling of being part of an effort greater than oneself.